Someone tells you that you did a great job, and before the sentence is even finished, you're already shaking your head. Oh, it was nothing. Anyone could have done it. I actually made so many mistakes. You're being too kind. They tell you your work was impressive. You tell them why it wasn't. They say you look great. You list the 3 things you'd change. They say they're lucky to have you. You wonder quietly if they'd still say that if they really knew you. You are not modest. You are not humble. And you are definitely not just being polite. Something else is happening. Something your nervous system decided a long time ago, before you had the language to question it. And it has been running in the background of every compliment you have ever deflected ever since. People call it low self-esteem. They say just accept it, just say thank you, just believe them. And every time someone says that, a part of you wants to explain that it is not that simple. That it is not a choice you are making in the moment. That something older and deeper is making it for you. You are not broken. You are not fishing for more praise. You are not performing false modesty for an audience. Your brain learned something early, and it is still running that lesson today. Stay with me. Let's start with the group that feels this the deepest. The ones who don't just deflect compliments. They actually cannot believe them. You are 9 years old. You came home with something you were proud of. A grade, a drawing, a performance, a moment where you genuinely felt like you did something right. And you showed it. You let yourself be seen in that specific vulnerable way that children do before they learn not to. And the response was not what you needed. Maybe it was silence. Maybe it was a comparison. Your sibling did better, last time was stronger, don't get too full of yourself. Maybe it was conditional, that's good, but next time. Maybe the praise came so rarely that when it did arrive, it felt suspicious, like a weather pattern you had learned not to trust. And somewhere in that small moment, your brain made a calculation. The outside world's assessment of you cannot be trusted. The only safe position is skepticism. If you believe the compliment and it turns out to be wrong, that will hurt more than never believing it at all. That was not a choice. That was a 9-year-old protecting themselves with the only tool they had. Psychologist Carl Rogers at the University of Chicago spent decades studying what he called conditions of worth, the early invisible rules we absorb about which versions of ourselves deserve love and which do not. When praise is inconsistent, conditional, or weaponized in childhood, the brain does not learn that compliments are information. It learns that compliments are performances, something people say, not something that means anything real. So when someone tells you that you are good at something, your brain does not receive it as data. It receives it as noise. Familiar, suspicious, unreliable noise. That is not insecurity. That is pattern recognition built from real experience. Now the second group. These are the people who can receive compliments from strangers just fine. It's the ones who are close to them that become impossible. A friend says you are one of the most genuine people they know. And instead of warmth, you feel panic. Not gratitude, panic. Because if they really believe that, they don't know you well enough yet. And when they do, the compliment will expire. And losing it will hurt more than never having had it. Psychologist John Bowlby at the Tavistock Institute called this anxious attachment, the deep, exhausting belief that closeness is temporary, that being truly known leads to being truly left. For people with this pattern, a compliment from someone they love is not a gift. It is a debt they cannot afford to owe. Because what if they cannot live up to it? What if tomorrow they disappoint them? What if the compliment is already a setup for the loss? So you deflect it, you minimize it, you hand it back before it can be taken. That is not false modesty. That is a heart that learned love has an expiration date. And the third group, the ones who intellectually know the compliment is probably true. They just cannot let themselves receive it. Psychologist Kristen Neff at the University of Texas at Austin has spent years studying self-compassion. Specifically, why the people who most easily extend warmth to others find it almost physically impossible to extend it to themselves. What she found was this. Many high-functioning, deeply empathetic people hold themselves to a standard they would never apply to anyone they love. They are generous with grace for others and completely withholding of it for themselves. When someone compliments them, there is a split-second internal audit. Do I actually deserve this? Have I earned it fully? Are there exceptions they don't know about? Is there a version of me that would not qualify? And the audit always finds something, because the bar is set at perfect. And perfect disqualifies everyone, including you. That is not high standards. That is self-erasure wearing the costume of integrity. But here is where we need to stop and be honest. Because there is a difference between someone who cannot accept compliments because of old wounds and someone who has started using deflection as a permanent identity. Someone who has made "I'm not that great" into a personality. A shield they carry so long they forgot it was ever a shield. There is a difference between humility and self-abandonment. Between not needing external validation and actively rejecting every positive reflection the world tries to give you. So here is the question. When someone offers you a genuine compliment, not flattery, not manipulation, just one human seeing something real in another and naming it, what does it feel like in your body? If it feels uncomfortable, ask yourself why. Not to fix it immediately, just to know. Because discomfort around being seen positively is data. It is telling you something about the distance between how the world sees you and how you see yourself. And that distance is worth closing. Not for them, for you. Here is what the research actually shows. Psychologist Roy Baumeister at Florida State University found that people with unstable self-concept, those who cannot hold a steady, grounded sense of their own worth, are significantly more vulnerable to both excessive praise-seeking and excessive praise rejection. The same wound produces both. The person performing for validation and the person deflecting it are running the same program, just in opposite directions. You are not modest. You are not humble. You are someone whose self-concept was never allowed to settle. And a compliment feels destabilizing because your identity does not yet have a place to put it. So here is your permission slip. You are allowed to be good at things. You are allowed to be loved by people who actually know you. You are allowed to receive a compliment without immediately finding the asterisk, the exception, the reason it doesn't fully count. You are not too much for the good things people see in you. You are not a fraud waiting to be discovered. You are not the one person on earth for whom the kind words don't apply. You are someone who was taught quietly and early that your worth was conditional, that praise was unreliable, that the safest position was always skepticism. That kept you protected for a long time. But protection is not the same as living. The next time someone tells you something true and good about who you are, try something small. Don't argue. Don't audit. Don't hand it back. Just say thank you. and let it land for 1 second before the noise starts. That 1 second is where it begins. Drop a comment. What's the compliment you receive most often but find hardest to believe? I read every single one. And if this felt like someone finally putting words to something you've never been able to explain, subscribe. I make these every week for people who are harder on themselves than they would ever be on anyone they love. And if you've ever wondered why you can pour everything into the people around you but struggle to believe you deserve even a fraction of it back, that one is next. You were never too much. You were just never shown how to hold